I want to mention before we start actually something about Elul. It's an important concept to have in mind. Uh, and Elul is 30 days, and it's one day following another day, and it becomes sort of routine. It's a very big mistake in that. People figure, well, Elul is like the end of the year, and Rosh Hashanah starts the new year, right? That's the general perception.
What's that morning? Oh, you pray for Shiva?
Ah,
Oh, focus on one switch then.
very good, very good. Hatzlacha Rabbah. I wish you Hatzlacha Rabbah. But I heard on Shabbos, this past Shabbos, a very beautiful little anecdote. You want to call it a story, which I think we'll all appreciate it very well. Everyone I told it to until now did appreciate it, and I think you also will appreciate it. And it's kedai to take into your heart because it's nogea to every one of us. As I said, we start off Elul, we blow shofar every morning, and the Svardim, they're starting slichus already at the beginning of Elul, all month long. But it's still 30 days, and after a while it sort of loses its power. It becomes sort of habitual. So listen to this, rabbis. There was a young lady who was getting into the parsha of Shidduchim. And she wanted to get married. Her parents wanted to marry her off. So they started talking to people, and people were offering young men. And one person comes up to the father of the Kala, and he says to him, he says, I have a very good boy for your daughter. He has one chesara. He stutters. But he's a good boy. He learns, he has Yerushalayim, comes from a religious home, good midos, but he stutters. So the father said, if it's really as you described, we'll let the stuttering, fall aside for the time being. Let's see the boy, and we'll decide afterwards. If he's really a good boy, stuttering we can let go. So the boy comes to the house, knocks on the door. They open up the door, and he starts stuttering. Finally, shalom. Get it out. Stuttering. Rahman is on the boy, but they knew beforehand that he stutters. Okay, come in, sit down. And he's talking with the girl for an hour, a half an hour, whatever it is. And it seemed to be a very good meeting between the boy and the girl. And then he leaves. The next day, the shotgun calls up the father and says, so what do you say about this boy? Father says, nothing to talk about. Ois shidduch. So he said, why? So he said, listen to the father's answer. He says, this boy knew that he stutters. Before he opened the door, he should have started preparing, shush, 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 shush. So when the door opens up, he can say shalom immediately. You hear that?
That's being judgmental.
That's right. He's being judgmental. That was his judgment.
It's wrong judgment.
Whether it's wrong or right, but that's what the father said. There's a big lesson in that, nogea to us. Well, I was told that story just yesterday on Shabbos. Comes to Rosh Hashanah, we're knocking on the door. We want to get in. We want to be connected to you. We want to come into your house, Hashem. We want to be together with you. So what's Hashem's answer going to be? Have you prepared yourself beforehand? Have you started before you knock on the door? Have you started preparing yourself so when the door opens up, you can come in and say shalom? That was beautiful. Mamish beautiful. And it's so true, as I said before in the Haggadah. Elul comes, well, okay. The first week, it's a little bit of arousal, but afterwards, another week, another week, another week. Elul ends, fine. We'll start the new year with Rosh Hashanah, and we'll have apple with honey at the Suda. Good, we start off the year with a sweet year. Doesn't work that way at all. Doesn't work that way at all. If you want to start off the year at a sweet year, you want to get inside, you got to prepare beforehand. You got to start your stuttering now, so that when the door is opened up, you won't have to stutter anymore. That's a beautiful, beautiful story. It took it into my heart, and I told it over to a number of people. And I'm so happy that I could share it with you. And you want to do a mitzvah to somebody else? Tell it to them also. Okay.
What portion did you say that you referred to the Malsham gave all these instructions on praying? Said he brought it up in Exodus.
Parshas Noach.
Parshas Noach.
That's where it all is. In the Sefer, in Parshas Noach.
Okay, no. Malsham Tov Parsha, there's what we have a look. It's $10 for every portion. I don't know if that explains what that is.
Okay. So we are up to page, I gave you the pages. We're up to page 28, 128. If you take a look at the pages that you were given, the first page, 128. And on this page, he says something at the bottom, which we're not going to go into now, but I want to mention what he says on the bottom here, a very important point. The Baal Shem Tov opens up an entirely new world. You have to understand, when Hashem created the world, the Zohar says, this didn't say bang, and the world was created. It doesn't work that way. It worked in stages. Hashem, says the Zohar, Histakil ba'oraisa u'bora alma. Hashem created the world, but he had also a preparation. He didn't just come open the door. He looked into the Torah. He looked into the letters of the Aleph Beis. He aroused the energies that he put into the letters, and with those energies in the letters, he created the world. And how did he do that? Vayomer Hashem, Yehi Or. Vayomer Hashem, Tadshe Haaretz Deshe. Vayomer Hashem. That's the way it's explained to us. Hashem doesn't speak because Hashem doesn't have a mouth. Hashem is not describable. He's not human. But it's taught to us that way, so we should understand the power of speech. With speech, we can create and we can destroy. With speech. Vayomer Hashem Yehi Or. Vayehi Or. Vayomer. Now you want to hear something even more amazing? Who makes all the Isurim in the Torah, all the prohibitions in the Torah, and all those things which are permitted in the Torah? Who was Kovea? Who decided that? Hashem. Hashem created the world. I decide what is mutter, what is asr. Chazer is asr, regular kosher meat is mutter. How did he get that information to us? B'dibur. He then spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu. He told him what the laws are. Moshe Rabbeinu memorized it, gave it over to Yehoshua. The main categories were written down in the Aseres HaDibros, but everything else was all Baal Peh, but all B'dibur. Hashem taught it to Moshe. Moshe gave it over to Yehoshua to the Zikanim. This came to Anshe Knesset Gedolah, and that's the way all the Torah was given over in the earlier generations, all Baal Peh, all by heart. They didn't have Svarim. You think they had Moshe Rabbeinu in his last day of life? He wrote a Sefer Torah, B'nes, for every Shevet. But until then, everything was Baal Peh. Speaking. Now listen to this. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. It tells you it's I mean, this is a little bit of a tangent off what the Baal Shem Tov is talking about. The Baal Shem Tov is basing his whole theory on the letters of the Aleph base. That's the whole sheet of the Baal Shem Tov, on the beauty, the koch of the Aleph base. And listen to this. It's amazing. Person makes a neder. I make a neder that I'm going to give such and such amount of tzedakah. So you can say, well, what I said, so what? Does it really obligate me or not? According to the Torah, it obligates you. You made a neder that you're going to give a certain amount of tzedakah. You're required min ha-Torah, not midirabbanan, min ha-Torah, to fulfill the neder. Lo yachel dvaro. Do not profane your words by not fulfilling what they said. You made a neder to give X amount of things to tzedakah, you have to give the X amount. If I make a neder to prohibit myself from something, I want to keep myself in line. I make a neder, I'm not going to drink any sweet drinks. I'm only going to drink water or sour drink, no sweets. I'm making a neder. I say it's a neder. Am I obligated to follow that, or can I change my mind?
I don't think that's required.
You may not think so, but it's a neder.
I mean about the drinks.
Yeah.
I mean about the.
But he took it on. This person decided that he wants to make a neder. He drinks too much sweet drinks, not healthy. I want to make a neder. If I don't make a neder, I know I'm going to find all kinds of excuses, and I'll drink. But I make a neder, then I'm really required to follow what I said, and I won't drink any sweet drinks. And that neder has the same din as when Hashem says it's also to eat chazan. There's no difference. The exact same quality of the Yisr exists. How did I do that? The way Hashem did it. Hashem did it with Dibur. He told Moshe Rabbeinu what the laws are. Hashem with his Dibur, Vayomer Hashem Yehior. Vayomer Hashem Tache Haaretz Desher. Hashem with his Dibur caused grass to grow. Everything with Dibur. So that koach of Dibur, with the osius of the Torah, the osius of the Tefillah, that is given over to human beings to use that koach in the same way. With my words, I can create. I can prohibit. It's amazing, amazing. You think what a privilege it is to use the same technology that Hashem used to create the world and to create the prohibitions or the mitzvahs. I have that power. And when I say it, it becomes a deraisa, becomes like Hashem said it. No difference. As long as I make sure it's a neder. I make it official. It's a neder, not just stam words. Stam words, they don't have that power. A person should always try to fulfill what he says anyway. Shouldn't say things stam. But if it says I'm making it official, then it becomes official. It becomes like it was said in the Torah itself.
How do you make it official or neder?
You say, I'm making a neder. That's why people say beli neder.
Belina.
They say beli neder, so it should not be considered a neder. It's just a wish that I have. I'm verbalizing a wish. But I don't want to be a neder, so I say beli neder.
Is it different from the shvur?
Sure, and the neder is the same as far as that.
Same thing.
Same as far as that's concerned, is the same. And in a certain way, shvur is even more strict than a neder. In Lashon HaKodesh, they don't. The word swear doesn't exist. We use it to. What does swear mean? What does it mean? It's an English word. What does it mean, swear?
Yes. When you put a part, they say that.
Yeah.
They say you swear.
Okay, it's sort of a word that's used to make it more than just a promise or whatever it is. All right, so there are levels of shmua and neder, but they both have in the Torah. They both have official, let's call it status of becoming a din in the Torah, like the Torah itself said it. If you make a neder or a shmua, it's like it says it in the Torah. No difference.
Totally dry.
That's why. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Good question.
Now you have a problem. If you want to remove the neder, You want to remove the neder. A week later, you have regrets that I made the neder. The regrets. So I say to you, young man, how old are you? 25, 30, 40, 50 years old? Are you sane? Was your mind working when you made the neder? You were completely aware of what you were saying, and you knew what you were saying, knew why you were saying it? Of course. Of course. So, I'm sorry, mister, it's too late. You made the neder, it's a neder, that's it. So why is there this way of getting out of the neder? Why are we allowed to do that? And we do it every year at Kol Nidre. Not only on the Nedarim, on the Shavuos too. Both. Whatever. How do you do that? I made the neder. I'm an adult person, a mature person. How can I just cancel out what I said? I made it official. If I made it official, it's like it says it in the Torah itself. There's no difference. Because I use the same technology Hashem used, Dibur. Dibur is a special koch that we have. We don't even realize how powerful Dibur is. It destroys it and it builds it. It creates an entire new thing that didn't exist before. How can I cancel a neder? I made it. It's a neder. It's a parsha of the Torah. Listen to this, Rabbi Sai. It's absolutely amazing. It's so beautiful, but it's amazing. In the parsha of Nedarim, you have to go to the source. To go to the source. And again, you see the Baal Shem Tov's emphasis on the letters of the Torah. Letters. The parsha of Nedarim is in Parshas Matos. Bamidbar Matos. What does it say there? It says, Ish ki yidor neder lashem. A person who makes, call it a promise, what do you want to call it, but it's an official neder, says, Lo yachel devoro. Do not profane your words and make them empty. You made a certain promise, you want to call it a promise, make sure you fulfill what you said. Lo yachel devoro.
Can we change our mind?
Yeah, of
And
course.
as human beings, we all change our mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely. But if we didn't have this way out of it, I would say to you, if you do something, right? You did something. And a week later, you say, I'm sorry I did it. Can you undo what you did? It's done. Time goes on. The clock goes. You can't bring back the past. Right? You did it. So when you say something, why can you bring that back? It happened a week ago. The time goes on. It's a different day today. If you catch yourself in the same moment, okay, I didn't complete what I want to say. I cancel what I said. A week later, a month later, a year later, you want to cancel what you said a year ago? How can you do that? It happened already. It's gone. It's finished. This is, listen to this, but see, if you see the beauty of this, I tell you, from learning of the Baal Shem Tov, it gave me such a simcha. If you understand this, you understand the whole process, the whole foundation of how the Nedarim works. We have such a concept called Hatoras Nedarim.
yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, but how do you do that? Doesn't make any sense. You made a neder a year ago. Now you're changing your mind. Now you're changing your mind that you can't bring back the past. It is done is done. If you shot somebody, a year later you have karata. Oh, I made a mistake. It was the wrong person. Can you bring him back alive? Done is done. What came out of your mouth is done. Listen to this, Rabbi Sai. It's absolutely amazing. I tell you, I had such pleasure when this came to me. Maybe it's from years back and I forgot about it, and I reminded myself this year again. I don't know. But I'm sure that my learning of the Baal Shem Tov had a great, great influence on what I'm going to tell you right now. As I said, the Parsha of Nedarim starts off, Ish ki yidor neder Hashem. A person, a man, who makes a neder for Hashem, lo yachel dvoro. Do not profane your words. Don't make them empty. Fulfill what you said. Okay, fine. I ask a very simple question. This pasuk, Ish ki yidor neder Hashem, can be very misleading. Why? I can come along with a conclusion that says it only applies to men. says ish. But women not. Women can say whatever they want. It doesn't mean anything. Say one thing today, tomorrow say, I changed my mind. I'm not obligated. Only ish is obligated. It says the Torah ish. Why didn't it say Misha Nada? Whoever made a neder, that would take in men and women. Why did it say it that way? It says, why did the Torah write ish? Because it applies only to men. So women can say, okay, I'm a free for all. My words, you can't hold me to my words. I can change my mind whatever I want.
Is that because they think that they're perfect?
Whatever you want to say, but that's what women would say if they were scholars and they studied the Torah and they said, why did it say ish? It could have said, Misha Nada, whoever made a neder, man or woman, Lo yachel dvaro, don't profane your words, fulfill what you said. Why did the Torah pick the word ish? And Hashem told Moshe, this is the way you have to write it, ish. This is beautiful, it's amazing. Listen to the answer. The word ish is made up of 3 letters. Aleph, Yud, Shin. Ish. The first and the third letter, Aleph and Shin, make up the word Eish.
Fire.
Fire. Now, fire is a energy that can be used for positive reasons. It can be used also to burn things and destroy them for negative things. But it's a power. As it is by itself, Eish is neutral. But it's of power. It's something which is burning. It can give warmth. It can give heat when it's cold. But it also can destroy. If you get too close to it and you're not careful, it can destroy. So there's a very, very powerful, call it entity called Eish. And Hashem was saying, when it comes to a person is not perfect. I know how to control fire. I don't make mistakes. But human beings, as you said, do make mistakes. And they have regrets and they change their mind.
Do women make mistakes?
Women too.
But they're not obliged with this, the job.
No, it applies to men and women. Same thing. There's no difference. Halachically, there's no difference between a man and a woman.
But a husband or a father can nullify a woman's
Yes,
vows.
yes, that's true. That's true. But as far as the actual neder is concerned, if a woman makes a neder, it's a neder. If a man makes a neder, it's a neder. There's no difference in that. And taking off the neder, there are differences. Okay, fine. So how did Hashem word it? Ish ki yidu neder l'Hashem. So we're saying the first and the third letter are Eish. The Eish is a very, very powerful, and a human being is not perfect. He's not God. So he can use the Eish in the wrong way. Instead of being warm to people and heating up cold rooms and so on and so forth, it can use to be destroyed. So we have to find some way to put a damper on the Eish and lower its power. How do we do that? We take the Yud and we put it in between the Aleph and the Shin. That's how you spell the word Ish. Aleph, Yud, Shin. Okay? That's Ish. All right, now, think for a moment. This Yud. What do you know about this Yud? Why did Hashem pick the word, the letter Yud, to put in between the Aleph and Shin? He could have put in a Hey, could have put in some other letter.
That's the first letter of his name.
You got it. You got it. Excellent. The Yud is the first letter of the Shem Havaya. Yud, Hey, Vav, He. What is the Shem Havaya? Is a contraction. Yud, Hey, Vav, He. That's the contraction. What does it really mean? Expanded? What it means is Hoya, Hove, V'yih. Did you know that? You said Yud, Hey, Vav, He, the Shem Hashem, which we call God, Baruch Atah Hashem. It's really a contraction of 3 words. God always was, God is, and God always will be. In other words, there is no such thing as time as far as God is concerned. God is a constant part of the reality. That is the reality, is God. So Hashem says, I'm going to put some of that into a person. And the person makes a neder. He wants to be like me. He has to have my qualities too. not giving him the power to make a neder, and the neder he says that this is good, this is going to be Yayin Nesech, it's going to become Yayin Nesech for him, unless he has that yud inside the aleph and the shin. He has to have that everlastingness, that godliness inside him when he makes a neder. So this little water can become Yayin Nesech. He made an Isser of Yayin Nesech on this water because he had the yud inside him. It gave him the power to create something. So now listen to this. What are we saying? A person who makes a neder, who can create new Yisurim which don't exist in the Torah, you have to have the power of God in you, the power of this everlastingness in you. And if you come along later on and say, oy vey, what a mistake I made. I changed my mind. I'm sorry I said it. What do you mean you're sorry? You can't bring back the past. What was said is said. It was done is done. But the point is, it was supposed to be done with this everlastingness. When you made a neder, you were sane, you were conscious, you were completely aware, and you did it b'mezid. Whatever you said is permanent. And you come along later and you said, I have regrets, I want to change my mind. That means there was a lack of permanency. The godliness in you when you made the neder was lacking. And if it's lacking, therefore it's not a neder to begin with. In order to make a neder, you have to be an ish. You have to have that yud inside you, which is operating. And you didn't have it inside you. Because I know you are a human being and you're not perfect. You're not actually God. I gave you powers. If you leave the neder as it is, then it's permanent for the rest of your life unless you take it off. But if you come along and say, had I known that this would be in the future, I would never have made it. What do you mean, had you known? You're supposed to know. When you have godliness into you, the higher hope of the year, that means you have to be aware of past, present, and future. You didn't have the awareness, that means you're not an ish. That's why we can make Hataras Nedarim. Because we show that the neder to begin with was lacking in its consistency, was lacking in its power, in its fullness. There was something lacking in the yud. It wasn't a full yud. It wasn't an ish who made it. That's why we have Hataras Nedarim.
You'll have someone.
Wait, before you ask the question, everybody understood what I said?
It's pretty heavy.
Huh?
It's very heavy what you said now.
But do you understand it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fred,
Okay. You want to go ahead?
And so let's say someone's not religious and they make a neder that they want to become religious and to keep Shabbat, like to keep kosher. That's permitted.
Well, if he's not religious, that means he doesn't believe in God. I mean, he's not religious. So, I mean, the whole basis is, very, very shaky to begin with.
But then if he wants to become religious.
He wants to, he can always become religious, but if it has the power of a neder, if he's not religious, I doubt it. Person who doesn't have a basic belief in God, so he doesn't believe in anything. He doesn't believe in, so what is his words, don't have, I don't know, it's a very difficult question. You ask a very, very difficult question. How much validity does a person have when he makes a statement like that? I swear. He said the person swears. He's not religious, but he says he swears. He understands swearing is something which binds him. Does it have any validity in the Torah? I don't know. It's a good question. If a person doesn't have the basic emunah, it's a very good question. Whether you don't have the basic beliefs in God. So I don't know if swearing means anything to you. It just means that you're more serious and you can't take it back. You have to realize you can't take. But if it has halachically a din of a shvur, I'm not so sure. I don't know. Yeah.
Is it correct to say a person should do everything possible to avoid swearing about anything, even if he knows it's 100% true?
Well, it's as we said, if you want to avoid any complications, always say beli neder or beli shvur, whatever. You're taking off the official status, so it's not binding officially. You should try to keep your word all the time, because everything a person says is holy. Whatever you say, you should fulfill it. But if you want to make sure it doesn't get into the halacha questions of breaking a neder is very, very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. You should know it's not such a simple thing. This is a form of Chil Hashem, because God gave you some of His powers, and you are profaning them. You are taking the powers that I gave you and you are mutilating them. You are using them in a very disrespectful way. It's very, very dangerous. You're misusing the powers that God gave you. I don't want to say what they own Shema, but they're very, very severe. Very severe. Yeah.
I usually, I would say, Ezra Hashem.
Very good.
And that's,
That's not a neder. Bezrat Hashem, he means with the help of God. Fine.
exactly.
All right. You're asking God to help you. Very good. That's it.
My children, when I lived in Wilmington, Garrett Sedgwick, and a couple of months later, the rabbi noticed that his hair and his beard were becoming very unkempt. He said, "Well, why?" He said, "Oh, I took a Nazarite vow."
He took a vow.
A Nazarite vow, yeah.
A Nazareth. Oh, it wasn't become a
What
Nazi.
do I say? So, well, you have to, at that point, the only thing you can come up with is you have to wait for Kol Nidre. And so we had to wait the whole summer through, and
When he could get like a 3D one and have like a bed in thing.
Well, you could go to a Bezdin and make
well, he could have done that, but the rabbi, it was just wasn't easy to get that thing together
Okay.
at that point. So we said, well, wait until Yom Kippur.
Okay. All right. Well, let me tell you, this is quite emotional for me also, what we just spoke about. It's, as you said, very, very heavy. It's very, very heavy, but the Baal Shem Tov, there was a big machlokas between the Satmar Rebbe, Rav Yoel Teitelbaum of Satmar, the great Satmar Rebbe in Williamsburg, New York, and Rav Aaron Kotler, the Rosh Hashiva of Lakewood. He was the Litvak and he was the Chassid. They had two different approaches about Eretz Yisrael. Two different approaches. And they both came to Eretz Yisrael on a visit before there were elections. Where Aaron Kotler came here with the Shita, you should vote in the elections. Try to get as many religious people into the government as possible. Vote. Satmar said, it's a waste of time. It's a Moshe Leitzin. Don't get involved with them. It's all its sunnis. The whole government is Gornish, but Gornish. Don't bother with it. Forget about it. And they had a very serious machlokas between them, but it was not personal. There was no personal negative feelings between them. None at all. They had a difference in philosophy, in Shita, of what is the correct behavior, but not personal. When Rav Aaron Kotler was nifter, the Satmar Rebbe and a bunch of his Hasidim came to Menachem Oval, to Rav Aaron Kotler's family, and he said, maybe at the Levaya, they gave him to speak to make a hesped. He said a very important statement. He said about Rav Aaron Kotler, in Yiddish, he says, gewen an ish emes. You hear that? They were terribly, terribly against each other in philosophy and psak. But he came to that Levi and he said Aaron Kotler was a man of truth. They respected each other, even though they had different opinions. Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. They didn't respect each other? Of course they did. Of course they did. There's no personal argument because you think differently than I think. That was Aaron Kotler, Baal Shem Tov. He has been given in Min HaShamayim the role to spread the truth. What we spoke about now, all these concepts that we spoke about now, Nidorim, and all these things are offshoots of the Baal Shem Tov Shita of how important the letters of the Aleph Beis are. Remember, as the Zohar says, Histakel ba'oraisa ubara alma. Hashem looked into the Torah, which He created beforehand, and with that looking, so to speak, the energies in the Aleph Beis were used to create the Torah. It's an amazing truth to understand. We should not take the letters of the davening, of the learning, just as a matter of fact, part of routine. We're talking about letters which have the power of creation. Let's take a look now at the daf that you have in front of you. Please look at the daf in front of you, 128. 128. You have it on the top right side, 128. Gam im tfilaso, you want a page? You know? Gam im tfilaso tiyazaka ubrura. Even if a person davens clearly, he says the words, and it's a pure davening. Bavadai min hahaval hakadosh yotzi mipiv. Here, even the air that comes out of his mouth, yizdabek v'yischaber im hahaval ha'elyon. That air that comes out of his mouth will attach itself to this same similar concept in the spiritual sense in Shemayim. Haval ha'elyon hadovek a love which is connected to me, v'nichnas a love b'tmidus, and that spiritual energy, that air, so to speak, is always going into me all the time. That is what's giving me my life. Kamo she'amru b'zin zichron levracha al posik. Kol haneshama tahalel yah. Kol haneshama tahalel yah. Yeah, the entire soul praises God. What does it be called haneshama? So it says, I'll call neshima v'neshima. Sha'adam no shave. Every breath that a person breathes, in or out, and then it comes in, then you breathe it out. V'yotze havu memenu. And the breath comes out from inside you, misato la'elam. From down here, and it goes up the breath into the air, to the heavens. V'chozeres elav, and it comes back to you. Me'elu zata. B'vadai b'nokel yuchal hischaber chelik elikus shebatoch adam el sharsho. This is a way for a person to connect to his roots. Through the air that comes out of his mouth, there is a complementary kind of air on the other side, which it connects with, and then it comes back to you, and you are connecting yourself to your roots, to your shoresh. Again, this is another example of how the Baal Shem Tov is telling us what is the truth, what's really going on. What's really going on? Don't think of speech as something which is not important. It doesn't obligate me. I could say something today and not do it. Who's going to take me to court for it? My speech isn't making mistake. Whatever comes out of your mouth goes up, and it comes back down. And while it's up there, you have a possibility of connecting to your shoresh, to your roots. All right, let's take a look at. All right, even before we do this, I want to mention something else. I don't know if we'll have time. But this is important because it's Nogei L'Maaseh. The Baal Shem Tov, throughout his writings, emphasizes a very, very important concept, and that is full focus, full concentration on the letters. Full focus and full concentration on the letters. Because even if you don't understand the meaning of the word, you don't understand the meaning of the word, which is true in many, many cases, or you don't have the time to think of the meaning because the davening is going too fast. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. So what do you do? What do you do in such a case? Baal Shem Tov says, before you start, you make up in your mind, I'm totally being mavatal myself to the letters. I'm putting my entire soul and heart into the letters. And let those letters, with the energy that I'm giving them, with my neshama, let those letters go up and do what they have to do. You hear that? That is amazing, the Baal Shem Tov says. And that is going to accomplish what you should accomplish if you do it slowly by yourself, each word by itself. If you can't do it for some practical reasons that we just said, it's going too fast, so you don't have time, or you don't understand the translation yourself. But you say beforehand, Hashem, I'm totally putting myself, my whole neshama, into the words that I say. Take the letters, take the words up, and do what you have to do with them. This is the Baal Shem Tov telling us this is the truth. You want to connect. You want to connect. You want the words that you're coming out of your mouth to have an effect. A goof without a neshama is not a goof. It's not worth anything. It's dead. A body without a neshama is not, it's nothing. It's a carcass. That's all it is. A word of tefillah, a word of Torah, is a guf. It's a body. You only give it chashivas by putting a neshama into it. You put the neshama into the word comes alive. That's what it says in Parshas Noach. Tzohar ta'aseh teva. Make the word enlightened. Give it a skylight so the light can go into the word. The teva is a word, not only an ark. Tzohar ta'aseh teva. Enlighten the word. How do you enlighten the word? You say before you start the davening, Hashem, take my neshama and put it into the word, and you take the word up and do what you have to do. All the tikkunim and the olamis hoyonim, whatever you have to do, you do it. That's an amazing truth. It's an awareness of the truth. And you're not trying to circumvent it and forget about it and just go through the davening because it's routine. You do it every day, so I'll do it one day, do it the next day too. That's the way it is. A guy go to shul every day, that's all. 3 times a day. But no thought, no kavanahs, nothing. Just going through the habitual davening. I don't know how much it's worth. Maybe it's worth nothing. Maybe it was something. I don't know. But a guf without a neshama is a dead carcass. All the words are a guf. They are a body. They have an entity. They have an objective wholeness about them. And they are functional. But only if you put the neshama into them. You put the neshama into the words, then the words could do something. So let me ask you a question now. And this is the Baal Shem Tov, his Talmidim bring up. It's a very serious question. We all go to shul, and in the shuls that we attend, probably all over the world, you have such a thing called singing during davening. Singing during davening. You get a good Baal Tefillah, he has a good sense of music, he knows which nigunim that people like, and which, would fit into their words. Sometimes you have a march, and sometimes you have something slow. Whatever it is, he knows which nigunim to pick, and he has a pleasant voice. Here's the Baal Tefillah. What would the Baal Shem Tov say about such a davening, based on what you know already and what you've heard today? What would the Baal Shem Tov say about singing during davening? What do you think?
During the week or
Anytime. Anytime. Doesn't make a difference. Well, I'll tell you.
it's a distraction?
I'll tell you. One of his Talmidim, on this page 128 that you have in front of you, there's the left side there. You'll take a look at it. You'll see it's marked off with a pen. I'm not going to go into it now because we don't have time. I'm just going to tell you about what he says. He says those people who are putting their emphasis and call it enjoyment of the davening into these nigunim, they're in what we call sheker v'chazaf. This is not davening. Davening means connecting to God. When people go to shul and they like the harmony, don't think that I'm different than you. I was brought up in New York, and I davened in a minyan that they sang all the time, and they asked me about tefillah many times too, and I knew which nigunim to pick, and they liked it, and I liked it. It was very good, but I didn't learn about Shem Tov at that time. I would never have agreed. I learned about Shem Tov at that time. Baal Shem Tov say, let me ask you something. Today they have courses in meditation. All over, in Eretz Yisrael too. You have courses in meditation. The Goyim also have it. Meditation. No, meditation. Do you think they do singing in meditation? I guarantee you they don't. No singing.
Did they just massacre or something?
It's you sit quietly, and you have to work on your mind. You have to process your mind, and you go deeper or higher, and you're meditating. The singing would only distract you. But you have to think about the tune, the melody. Takes away your concentration on what you're supposed to be meditating on. Well, if you're davening and you want to connect to Hashem, you want to go higher and higher and higher, If you have to concentrate on the tune, isn't that going to distract you? Well, this one of Talmidim, the Baal Shem Tov says exactly that. This is not davening in the Baal Shem Tov's frame of mind, but he understood davening. So we have to ask ourselves a very important question. The Levium in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, when the Avodah was going on, the Karbanos, the Levium were playing on instruments and they were singing. So how do we understand that in light of what the Baal Shem Tov has just taught us? The answer is the singing of the Levium was on such a high madrega, and it was only there to be an adjunct. It was there to, I would say, escort the meditation of the person. It wasn't at all disturbing. On the contrary, it enhanced it. But if you think about the singing today in the shuls, the singing itself becomes an end in of itself. And the words become less important. Just a nice tune and the harmonizing. So it's a very, very big problem.
You had asked me this before this course. I would have thought he invented this.
The Baal Shem Tov?
What has to do?
Well, I agree with you. I agree. They are big singers, the Hasidim. The Hasidish Nigunim. I don't know how it developed because it's not the Baal Shem Tov's way of, understanding how tefillah should be. Tefillah is a very deep meditative process. It takes full concentration. If I have to concentrate on the tune, I'm only a human being. I'm limited. I don't have all day to stay in shul. It's a very big problem. Very big
We
problem.
had 4 different tunes.
Huh?
We had 4 different tunes Friday night, just looked like Father Day.
So he's not going to change it.
Let me just make one statement. I'm not saying that you should cut out all the singing. The people who don't know the Baal Shem Tov, they need the singing. They need the singing. And for them, it's important. It helps them to get into the tefillah. It's important. Everyone according to his level, according to his madrega. If you really want to be a serious davener, and really, let's call it, have an aliyas haneshama, you really want to feel that you're really connected to Hashem. The singing is not going to do it. In most cases, because the singing very often doesn't even fit the words. It's just some kind of a tune that somebody thought of. He wants to use that tune. And you don't even have time. You don't have time to connect it to the words and see if it fits, doesn't fit. You're busy, keeping up with the tempo of the nigun, of the harmony. It's a very big problem. But I mentioned it today here because since we've been meeting already for, quite so few months already, I don't know, since when did it start? I don't know when the shiurim started. We're on a different madrega. We're on a different madrega. And when you're on a different madrega, Hashem expects, according to the madrega that you're on, he expects the kind of behavior at that level. He's not going to expect from you what he expects from somebody who never went to a course in Baal Shem Tov. Everyone's different. But we should at least have that awareness. When they do the singing in shul, they do, and it's interesting, interesting. Shmona Esrei, there's no singing in Shmona Esrei. Why is there no singing in Shmona Esrei? Not to Chazor Seshatz. Why is there no singing in Shmona Esrei in the first tefillah Balakash? How come there's no singing? That's the proof. That's the proof. That's where you're supposed to, you start in the morning from Karbanos, then you have brichos between Baruch Shema and Psukei de Zimra until Yishtabach. That's the second level. Third level is in your brichos Kriya Shema, and the highest level, the highest olam, is in Atzilus. There's no room for seeking there.
It's seamless.
Atzilus.
What's that?
It means Eitzel. You're the closest to Hashem. Starting in the morning, when you come in, you have Karbanos, right? Then you have Birchos Psukei de Zimra. That's the second level, second olam. Third level is Kriya Shema, Birchas Kriya Shema. The fourth level is Baruch Hashem Goal Yisrael, and then you're in another world altogether. Then is total silence. That's the place for the real meditation. That's a raya. That's a raya. When you're really connecting to Hashem, there is no room for singing. It's amazing. And I'll tell you even something further. Something even further. The Sifrei Kabbalah say, when you're davening Shmona Esrei, you shouldn't hear your own words coming out of your mouth. You hear that? You have to move your lips, make the letter, the form of the word, of the letter, but not to say it loud enough so that you can hear what you're saying. But you know you said it. Why is that so? You know why? Because whatever comes out of the person, that's Kedusha. And there are kolchos of Tuma in the world. We call them the kolchos of the Sitra Achra. The evil forces in the world, they get their nurturance from the Kedusha. And when they hear letters, voices coming out of your mouth of Kedusha, if they can hear it, they can attach themselves to it and get their nurturance from that. We don't want to give them any nurturance. So therefore, you have to say the words very, very silently and not hear your own words. You hear that, Rabbi Said? Is there any room to think that singing is really the place, is really the thing to do? When it comes to the real connection, the highest point, there too has to be totally balakash, total silence. That is really the level of meditation. That's what Shmona Esrei is. You're totally connecting to Hashem, and you're forgetting about the world. You're detaching it from everything around you. That's real tefillah. It takes time. It takes practice. But that's what we're aiming for. That's what an understanding of that. We have so much more to learn. But what we said today is a lot of food for thought. A lot of food for thought. Yeah.
When you started about this business with the Baal Shem Tov, focus on the letters and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I was told if you don't understand Hebrew, the best is to pray in English.
Not so. Not so.
Really?
Baal Shem Tov would say, you have to say to Hashem, I don't understand the words, but I know the words themselves, because they're Lashon HaKodesh.
Mm-hmm.
If I put my neshama into those words, that's the point. Put my neshama into those words, the words will be taken up, because I gave them the injection that they needed with my neshama. And they'll do what they have to do. Hashem will do. As long as your neshama is inside the words, you don't have to understand them.
So it's better
To say the Lashon HaKodesh if you don't understand
and
it,
don't understand.
but put your neshama into the words. I'm giving you all these words. My neshama is going to each letter, into each word. Take the words up and do what they have to do with them.
Just make that declaration as beforehand.
Right? Even in your mind is enough. You don't have to say it. Even in your mind.
What does it mean to put one's neshama in the words, Hebrew words? That
It
you
means
understand?
all your concentration, your focus, your concentration. I'm giving life to the words. I'm making the word come alive. I'm enlightening the word by putting my neshama into it, by concentrating on it, by focusing on it. That is what it means getting the word. That's it.
So every Shabbat, all the groups come here for Carlebach. Come here for Carlebach.
They need it. They need it. Let them come. Let them come. Absolutely. Let them come. Let them come.
Karabakh thing.
I mean, look, I tell you something. It's very interesting. Music is not, this whole concept of music in the world. Where does it come from? Where does it come from? Listen to this. It's amazing. We have what we called Tanta. Tes, Nun, Tov, Aleph. Tanta doesn't mean Yiddish, an ant. That's what it means in Yiddish, but that's not the meaning here. It's a contraction or a mnemonic device to think of every letter, every word has nigun. When you increase the Torah, right? You have the musical connotations on the letters. Then you have the nekudos, the vowels. Then you have, on top of the letters, you have sometimes a tagim on top of the letters, little crowns on top of the letters, and then you have the letter itself. So there are four parts to the letter. There's the musical notations, which are not part of the letter. The musical notation is not part of the letter. It's something which is above, like it's a halo. Then you have also the nekudos. The vowels are also not attached to the ink of the letter. The vowels are underneath, right, or in the middle, or on top, but they don't touch the ink of the letter. Then you have the crown, which is attached to the letter. Then you have the letter itself. Which is the highest level of those four? The highest level of those four is the first one, the musical notations of the letters. That is the highest. In other words, music is a creation of God, which has to do with the highest olamos. Music is very, very important. It really, really can get to the neshama. Music can do something to people that stam speech won't do. Music has a way of entering into a person's heart. It brings down from the olamas yonim. It's not stam that we have to read the Torah with a certain kind of nigun. There's got a reason for it. There's got to be a reason for it. Because it makes a very, very strong impression. Bashamayim, the musical notations of every letter, every word, have to be done in a certain way, because music is a very, very important part of the creation. Hashem wants it to use that music for avodas Hashem. Use it to serve Him. Okay, well, we'll stop here.